So my goal is to have this entire bootcamp done, case study done by the end of next weekend. Yeah, this did not happen at all. I'm not even at the case study part. I'm still redesigning my app. Because of the feedback that I got from user testing, I am revising so much of my app that it's really turning into this bear of a project. I later found out this week, however, that I only need to make 3 major revisions, but I'm working on 10 to 15 revisions because I didn't read the assignment first. But I'm so deep in it now that I might as well just continue with what I'm doing. But this is definitely one of the reasons why it's taking a lot longer than it probably should. But I will say I'm learning a lot in the process at least, so that's good. For example, I'm designing my app to have a chat screen that helps musicians connect with each other. But one of the things that I wasn't sure how to structure was what happens if you type in the text box and it has to span to a new line. Like what happens to the different icons and containers? Like what happens to their position? And it's little things like that that I would never think about when I'm casually using a messaging app. But now that I'm designing one, I have to think through all these little intricacies of what happens when users interact with it. So now I'm doing things like opening up Discord and opening up Instagram and actually trying out, okay, what happens if I type multiple lines? What happens to the content above it? What happens to the icons around it? And that gives me ideas on how to frame my designs. And there's lots of little things like this that I've come across that I've really only learned by trying and doing, because I wouldn't have known to even research a lot of this stuff prior. At this point, I'm 80% done with my app redesign, and I'm really addressing 3 core issues, but each of those issues has a lot of little subparts that are associated with it, which is why it's taking such a long time. My first iteration of the app was designed to help musicians schedule collaborations with other musicians, and typically that would be held through a video call like Zoom. But after user testing, I found there was 3 core issues common amongst most of the users. Number 1 is people just aren't comfortable being on video with people they barely know. So one of the features of my app had a feature similar to Omegle, where you just sort of get paired with another musician through a video call, and it just sort of randomly happens. And pretty much none of the users like this feature, so I'm just gonna ditch it entirely. Number 2 is people don't want to commit to collaborations with people they barely even know. So one of the core features of my app is inputting availability, and then the app finds other musicians that have similar availability so that you can schedule a collaboration with them. But when looking at the matches page, the main call to action was match, which basically solidifies that collaboration and confirms it. And users thought that that was just way too final and committing of a process. And so now I've changed the call to actions to where now there is a see more section where you can look at their profile and look at their music and bio and things like that, as well as social links. And then the second option is the add as a friend, so that you can just send a friend request to know that maybe you're interested in collaborating with them. The third issue users had is, how does the collaboration on video even work? Like, how do you record audio parts? And I sort of knew that this was going to be an issue going into it. I did not have any sort of design on how to record audio parts, or if people would even want to record audio parts on a phone, because realistically, most musicians are used to recording audio on a big desktop screen, not a phone screen. So even now, I don't really have a great solution for this, but I figured the best solution that I could come up with is, instead of having a video chat session being the main feature of the collaboration, make it instead a chat screen. So users can talk about song ideas that they're working on. They can upload files so that others can listen to it. And I feel like just having this back and forth of this file exchange can be at least a better way to collaborate versus trying to figure out how you're supposed to record guitar parts on phones or any other audio part for that matter. I figure with this revision, people can just record audio parts on the software they're familiar with and just export it to the apps to share it with whoever they're collaborating with. So those are the three main issues that I'm working on with my redesign. And then once I'm finished with my redesign, then I submit it to Slack to get it approved by a mentor. And then once it's approved, then I am off to the final section of the Avocademy Bootcamp, the case study, which is probably going to be a tremendous amount of work because it's basically the culmination of everything that I've done for the past 10 weeks. And so I have to write a report talking about my entire process, and I have to somehow make it somewhat engaging using storytelling elements. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit challenging. As much as I'd like to say I could complete it by the end of next weekend, I just don't even know anymore. So I'm just gonna see what happens and try my best. I did want to give one little side note about Avocademy in terms of the mentors. I figured it would be good to be transparent about this. Now, overall, the mentors have been by far the most valuable part of the Avocademy experience. I get literally unlimited mentorship, which I pretty much try to do 2 times a week. 1 for accountability, but 2 to just figure out roadblocks and obstacles that I'm coming across. And most of them go above and beyond to help me out and even go over the allotted 25 minutes sometimes. But there has been instances where my experience with mentors has not been that great. One of which was one of the mentors that I did a Zoom chat with just did not look very engaged in our conversation. And while they still helped me out, I just sort of got this vibe that they did not want to be there. And look, I get it. Like, it's probably a side hustle for them, but at least act a little bit interested maybe. And so that wasn't a great experience. And then the other experience that I had that has happened a couple times is a mentor has actually canceled or rescheduled one of our appointments on the same day. And one of the times I didn't even get a notification about it. So I show up for the meeting and the mentor is not there. I send a message and then they say that they canceled it, and I don't ever recall seeing a notification about it. So those were kind of my 2 not so great experiences. I figured I should just share and be transparent about those outliers. Like I said, that is very much the minority of the case. The vast majority of my experience with mentors has been very, very positive, and they have been immensely helpful. Just a couple little bad eggs thrown in the basket is all I'll say. But yeah, if you want to learn more about Avocademy, there's a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so if you want to support this channel, then that is a great way to do so. And if you want to save some money off the Foundations Bootcamp, you can use the code SAVE100 and you can save $100 off the course, which is pretty nice. As far as I know, that's still a functioning code that you can use to save some money off the Foundations Bootcamp. So yeah, I'm getting pretty close to finishing up here. My guess is I probably have 1 or 2 more of these videos until I'm done with the Avocademy Foundations Bootcamp. But my plan is I'm going to be keeping these videos going because I plan on doing the Avocademy Career Jumpstart after this. And so I'll be talking about my process with that, as well as just, what's the interview process like, how my job search is going. I'll be sure to update this weekly throughout my entire process as I make my transition into the UX design career. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.